Hello and welcome to the short story. My name is Professor Rigolino and I am an English instructor at the State University of New York at New Paltz. During our first week, I'd like you to introduce yourselves to one another, post some background information, and then reply to other students. I am an instructor in the English department where I coordinate the SWW composition program. In addition to that, I teach some courses for the Black Studies department. Now, this summer we're going to be reading some of my favorite authors, and they include Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, Edith Wharton, Flannery O'Connor. I will also assume that many of these writers are familiar to you. The course is set up chronologically, so we're going to begin at the beginning with Washington Irving. And I'm sure many of you know Rip Van Winkle already and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Then we're going to move on to Nathaniel Hawthorne and Charles Chesnutt. The week after that, we're going to look at some women writers, Edith Wharton, Kate Chopin, and Mary Wilkins Freeman. And I would imagine that many of you have read at least two of them, maybe Wharton and Chopin, because a lot of their work is anthologized. Our next group will be what I call the quote-unquote legends. We've got Faulkner, Hemingway, Fitzgerald lined up, and I'm sure many of you have read their works in high school and perhaps in college. I'd like to devote an entire week to Langston Hughes, and to that end I've asked you to buy a collection of his short stories, The Ways of White Folk. You likely know his poetry, but I'd like to look at his short stories. He wrote short stories, he wrote essays, he wrote novels. So he is such a seminal, important figure that I felt a whole week should be devoted to him. Around the 4th of July, we'll be taking a little break in terms of the discussion, but you will be working on character blogs. I'd like you to choose one of the fictional characters we've met, and then to write a blog in the voice of that character. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy this creative assignment. Then we're going to return to our final discussion, looking at some later 20th century American writers, James Baldwin, Sandra Cisneros, John Updike, and perhaps my favorite American short story writer, Flannery O'Connor. The summer ends with the final paper, which is really an informal lesson plan. And even if you're not an education major, it really doesn't matter. This lesson plan, and I will provide directions, is easy enough to put together, and I hope will be an interesting way for you to look at literary analysis. As you can see, the rough draft is due on the 16th of July. Then I would like you to complete your peer critiques, and then the final paper is due July 23rd. There is a very easy final exam. It's a critique, a review of the course, and that is due on July 24th. So, I look forward to seeing you online. I look forward to the reading. See you in the introduction.